This is News 4 Nashville.
We are so glad you're joining us on air and streaming on our News 4 app.
Let's get right to the top stories we are following at this hour. We're going to begin with Governor Lee. He continues to hold a news conference at this time on the plan to reopen schools in Tennessee. He says he's signing an executive order to allow contact sports in the fall. He also says reopening schools safely is important and talked about the impact that school closures is having on students because of this pandemic. And we are streaming this briefing on the News 4 app. Hey, let's look right now at the numbers here in Davidson County. In the last 24 hours, our case numbers have gone up to nearly 20,500. That's an increase of 363. 11 more people have died for a total of 189 people who've died from the virus in Davidson County. Nearly 15,000 people have already recovered.
In Davidson County,
the restaurant curfew is being extended here in Nashville. Mayor Cooper announced today bars will stay closed and restaurants will continue to close at 10 p.m. at least until mid-August. The mayor's original order went into effect Friday. It's already being extended to August 16th. The chairman of the Metro Coronavirus Task Force, Dr. Alex Jahangir, says restaurants can still provide takeout orders and drive-through services.
And tonight at 6.
Let's get to another story a lot of people have been talking about for 4 days now. Trash has been left at people's curbside in parts of South Nashville and Antioch. It's left a lot of residents frustrated.
You know, it's one of those city services that's really crucial. News 4 Joshua Cole is live on this story. So these neighbors, Joshua, say this is nothing new.
All right, still ahead. As coronavirus cases continue to climb, so do overdose deaths. We're going to break down the second pandemic that's devastating the country right now.
And coming up at 5, just a moment.
All right, and as a reminder, right now, Governor Bill Lee and President Trump are both giving coronavirus updates. Right now, you can watch the governor's press conference on the News 4 app and on the WSMV Facebook page. The New York City Police Department says the damage to its vehicles from recent protests will cost them about $1 million. The NYPD says the protests since George Floyd's death, 303 department vehicles were vandalized. 14 of them are a total loss because of fire damage. Most, though, are back in service. And we will be right back.
Hey, you've been identified as a close contact of someone that was
news conference.
infected.
That's Dr. Piercy, the commissioner of the Health Department, briefing about what the governor's been talking about. And that, of course, is this plan to open schools in Tennessee. Among the things that he has announced, anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 will have to isolate for 10 days. Anyone who is within 6 feet of someone with COVID-19 for more than 10 minutes or more will have to quarantine for 14 days. The state is also going to provide PPE for school staff. Earlier, the State Department, the health commissioner talked about how the virus behaves among children. Take a listen.
Children asymptomatic.
This is an especially newsworthy briefing that the governor is giving right now. You can watch the whole thing and rewind on the News 4 app.
Right now, we want to get you caught up on the top coronavirus stories we're covering across the country.
We're going to start with the Major League Baseball. After 14 members of the Miami Marlins tested positive for coronavirus, now the league is suspending the team's season through Sunday. MLB says it wants to give the team time to care for its players. One of the teams the Marlins played was the Phillies, and the Phillies players were tested after that game. Some good news, all the tests came back negative. But tonight's Phillies game against the Yankees is postponed
for 12 hours.
Governor in Georgia, Brian Kemp, is canceling a hearing on masks orders in Atlanta. Today's hearing would have discussed the lawsuit he filed against Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms over her mask mandate in the city. Governor Kemp argues that local leaders cannot do this. However, he's now saying he wants to, quote, be productive and have good faith negotiations with City Council and Mayor Bottoms.
Are you ready for this one? With bank fraud.
As coronavirus cases climb in the U.S., so are overdoses. The CDC reports drug deaths fell in 2018, but for the first time in more than 2 decades, they were up again in 2019. And as far as 2020 goes, health officials say the numbers are alarming. NBC's Sarah Dolph has the latest.
Sarah Dolph, NBC News.
The most recent numbers for June show a 43% increase from last year to this year in overdosing in participating counties.
Now the news.